India is making rapid strides in achieving its net zero by 2070 goal. As we can see, it has made rapid strides on renewable energy scale up, and it's on track to meet its 500 gigawatts target by 2030. However, this renewable energy scale up will not help India to achieve its 2070 net zero goal. We also need industrial decarbonization. And within the industrial decarbonization space, it is important to support the medium, small, micro enterprises to decarbonize its processes.
Across India, millions of micro, small, and medium enterprises quietly keep the country's industrial economy moving. Among them are several clusters of textile processing units, which turn plain fabric into finished cloth, bound for markets across the country and beyond. Through these enterprises, we get a glimpse into the world of India's MSMEs.
I represent 50 textile processing units that are located in an industrial cluster, western part of Tamil Nadu. As far as the energy composition is concerned, we use coal, briquettes, agro waste, certain invasive species which has been declared by Tamil Nadu state government because dyeing inherently needs a heating source.
The Indian textile industry is a critical contributor to India's economy. It employs over 45 million people, second only to agriculture. Behind every machine, every vat of dye, and every finished roll of cloth is a person whose livelihood is bound to this sector's future.
ஸோ இங்கே தமிழ்நாட்டில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா 157 பேர் இருக்காங்க. வெளி மாநிலத்திலேருந்து அதாவது 248 பேர் இங்கிருந்து வந்துட்டு இருக்கிறாங்க. மாநிலம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா பீகார், அசாம், வெஸ்ட் பெங்கால், ஒடிசா, அதுக்கப்புறம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா மத்திய பிரதேசிலேருந்து இங்கே வந்துட்டு இருக்கிறாங்க.
ମୋ ନାଁ ରମେଶ ଭୋଇ, ମୁଁ ଓଡ଼ିଶା। ଉଧର ଆଇ କରି ବଏଲର ପହିଲା ସଫାସୁଫି କରିଦେମୁ, ତାରପରେ ସଫା କରି ସାରିଲେ ସେଟା ଫିକି ନେବେ, ଫିକି କରି ଆସିଲେ ଏତିକି କାଠ ଭିତରକୁ ମାରବାର କାଜେ ଆରମ୍ଭ ହେସି।
আমার নাম ইসরামুল খান, আমার বাড়ি ওয়েস্ট বেঙ্গল বীরভূম জেলা। আমি ফিনিশিং ইউনিটে কাজ করি।
मेरा नाम प्रीति मिश्रा है। मैं उत्तर प्रदेश चंदौली जिला सिकरी गांव से हूँ। मैं क्यूसी डिपार्टमेंट में काम करती हूँ। मेरा काम फैब्रिक चेकिंग का है, शेड चेकिंग का है।
கட்டிங்கில் தான் பொண்ணுங்க மோஸ்ட்லி இருக்கிறாங்க. 80% பக்கம் நம்ம பொண்ணுங்க யூஸ் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கு.
Over the years, some clusters have found ways to turn towards more responsible production practices.
We are the first one in India to implement zero liquid discharge, wherein the entire effluent is being collected, treated, and then used back in the process.
And the energy side for even our own electricity consumptions. Our 85% of consumption is coming from the wind energy, and the balance 15% almost covered by the solar.
At the heart of every textile unit sits a boiler. It produces the steam and heat that drives the entire production process. The fuels burned in these boilers shape not only the environmental footprint of production, but also the stability and cost of operations for the units that rely on them.
We are using firewoods. In firewood, the problem is the moisture. The moisture will vary very high, even from 30%, sometimes even 60-70%, because depends upon the season, and the price will vary very high. The gas pipelines are being laid here. We don't know what will be the price and quantity.
With geopolitical risks looming, fuel supply is becoming more volatile and unstable. This puts the operations of millions of MSMEs in India at risk. Mainstreaming electrification can help safeguard their future operations by protecting them from such price fluctuations and resource shortages. However, such commitments often come at an additional cost.
See, our approach basically is going towards the sustainability on all fronts, in case of energy, process, and mainly it should be feasible also, because we have to compete with the global market.
Taking up clean industrial practices while managing the cost of production and meeting their energy requirements is a problem being faced by the entire textile industry across developing economies. With the stage set towards industrial decarbonization, MSMEs need guidance, support, and incentives if they are to take additional steps towards clean technologies and industrial processes.
Most of our boilers are long-term investment, and of our majority of the units, the boiler lifetime, it's about to cross 20 years of operation. So we thought as a cluster, we'll need to look at reinvesting on the boilers.
Boilers are already a sunk infrastructure. You are looking at high maintenance. You are looking at, particularly when you have an IBR boiler, which is more efficient, then you are looking at a boiler operator, then you are looking at annual inspections, then you are looking at a reasonably high maintenance and replacement cost, because it's a combustion system. And then you have the pollution issues. Whereas if you look at technologies like heat pump, or even direct electrification with just resistance-based heating, you don't have any of these challenges.
With electrified heating systems emerging as potential alternatives to burning fuels, heat pumps stand out for their efficiency gains.
Electrifying industrial heat is one of the most important but unexplored frontiers of industrial decarbonization. To tap this opportunity, 3 years back, Bustler Foundation saw that as a part of that initiative, we conceptualized a deep electrification forum. We started looking at industrial textile clusters and what is the kind of heating demands that they have and whether electrification has a case. To our success, what we found is that electrification was making a business case and was technically possible.
Electrification, we are looking at heat pumps as one of the sources, but still the economics has to work out because we need to have an ROI.
This is where the equity questions also comes in, because when we're trying to implement the pilot solution, the brunt gets only on the small unit. If we design this transition without specifically addressing the needs for MSMEs, whether it is policy support, whether it is technology access, whether it is financing support, we will end up in a transition that does not really work for all.
For such emerging technologies to gain wider acceptance, early demonstrations and proof of concept become critical.
Once a few units which is successfully adopt the technology and show a stable operation and saving, the confidence levels across the entire cluster improves significantly.
If you account for everything, as of now, even at 8 rupees, 7 to 8 rupee electricity cost, heat pumps are already on par from a kilowatt hour heating cost basis. And for a greenfield project, when capex is not that big of a constraint, it makes immense sense to just go for heat pumps.
In addition to efficiency gains and energy savings, heat pumps also provide cooling as a core benefit, a necessary requirement given rising temperatures and increasing heat stress inside factories. Enterprises have a responsibility to protect their workers from such risks, as it can affect units' productivity and worker health.
वो कंपनी में हमको ग्लोव देचा, ऊपर कवर, टोपी, हेलमेट सब कुछ दिया है कंपनी। वो बिल्कुल गर्मी वाला है, वो फैन है, पंखा देचा हमको, पंखा रे हवा बाजी छे, इतना गर्मी हेते गरम नहीं लगे, ठंडा टिके लागुचे।
அதாவது தனி வாட்டர் கொடுத்துட்ருக்கு சார். அடிஷ்னலாக அவங்களுக்கு மோரும் கொடுத்துட்ருக்குது. எங்கேஷ் ஏதாவது ரொம்ப ஹாட்டாக இருந்தது, அவங்களால வேலை செய்ய முடியலன்னா அவங்களுக்கு ரெஸ்ட் கொடுத்துடுவோம் சார்.
So when we first did our heat pumps way back in 2017, so where we had spot cooling. So there is an engine assembly line where there was heat treatment of engines that was going on, and then there was like cooling spots provided across the factory where the workers could go stand underneath it for a few minutes so that they can cool down, so that kind of reduce the heat stress.
To enable a transition of MSMEs towards electrification, a structural shift is required. Every MSME will have its own struggles and triumphs in transitioning based on the geography, local economic conditions, and resource availability. Therefore, targeted policies and a supportive industrial ecosystem is needed.
Being an MSME cluster predominantly, access to finance is available but at a higher cost for us. So long tenure green financing is a need of the hour with a low interest rate, especially when we are focusing on the sustainability aspects of the capex.
Enablement of carbon credits could also be directionality. I mean, it may not really do much to the industry, but directionally saying that this is a green technology that people should adopt, and there is a green premium that could be afforded to this technology is what I think is required.
If we want to do electrification at scale, we need to have a coordination across the entire ecosystem, including brands, suppliers, financial institutions, policymakers, technology manufacturers, as well as technical experts. When we talk about grant and philanthropic capital help, this offset the first mover cost, while blended financial structure which allows this support to be combined with commercial lendings, making project financial viable, especially for the smaller enterprises. Policymakers can enable this transition by ensuring the access to reliable electricity, providing supportive policies for renewable energy procurement.
A clean industrial future goes beyond energy. It is equally about building resilience in such a labor-intensive sector by addressing vulnerabilities, supporting enterprises as they upgrade, and preparing its workforce with new skills, knowledge requirements, and jobs based on the incoming processes and technologies.
Building the confidence among the workforce, strengthening the skill and know-how, and ensuring that the transition improves the working condition across every stakeholder, improves the long-term adoption of the technology. That is what will make the industrial decarbonization both practical as well as inclusive.
Transitioning to clean, affordable, and efficient production isn't just good for the climate. It is also a business imperative for these units. It signifies a future where enterprises are economically prepared, clean production is cost-effective, and local economies protected. Strengthening MSMEs positions them to power India's future and move confidently towards Viksit Bharat by 2047 and net zero by 2070.
But we want to ensure that when the shift happens, it happens in a way which is fair, informed, and genuinely accessible for the smallest unit in the value chain, which is the MSME.